Hello, Canucks fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Canucks Conversation, delivered to you by the great folks at DoorDash.
Ding dong.
Use promo code CONVODD, capital C, capital D is all one word, CONVODD. That will get you 25% off and free delivery on your first order with the DoorDash app. Does not get much better than that, folks. My name is Dave Quadrelli, joined as always by the man who built the place, Chris Faber. Our technical producer is Alex Allard, high above Rogers Arena. This is the Canucks Conversation podcast, and Chris, I busted out the sunglasses today. I'm back in my Bobby McCown era because I am ready to bring the hot takes today with Roberto Luongo. What the hell are you doing with your camera?
I tried screwing around with it to mess with Alex. He's got me upside down again. I see what
you're
he's
upside down. What'd you do?
Well, Alex has got me upside down again. I tried flipping my camera, but it automatically registers. It's like a phone when you flip it. I thought that my camera outsmarted me. So technically, Alex hasn't outsmarted me. My camera outsmarted Alex, which outsmarted me. So actually, that puts me at the bottom.
We're gonna get to the Luongo stuff in a sec. We should mention that speaking of Canucks legends, Mike McKenna of Daily Faceoff is going to join us. The man who once famously
look over towards me. You look like a rapper. You know the rappers in their music videos. They got the white ring in their sunglasses. I see that all the time. If you look over towards your light. Look at that. You look like a rapper, Quads.
I look sick.
Young North from Vancouver,
I look
Canada.
Like, you seen The Incredibles 2?
Actually, yeah, it looks like the weird eyeballs.
Yeah,
That's
right?
Great.
You've seen The Incredibles 2?
No, I haven't seen The Incredibles 2.
You should.
I've seen The Incredibles as well. I've seen The Incredibles.
Well, you don't get this reference then. Incredibles 2, or that girl from, you seen Spider-Man Into the Multiverse?
Maybe.
Animated Spider-Man with Miles Morales.
I might have watched that on a flight. I don't watch movies. I told you know this. I don't watch.
I know,
movies.
neither do I. But those are two classics. You
I think I've seen that one actually.
Yeah,
the one. What's that song? Sunflower.
Yeah. That's it.
That one.
Like
that one's in there.
The girl, Olivia Octavius.
Oh, okay.
Remember? Okay. Anyways, we should also mention Mike McKenna joining us on this episode.
Hey, you brought up DoorDash real quick. Well, one thing about DoorDash. To tip your drivers around this time. You're whining about the weather coming in here, how cold it is.
It's so cold.
Tip your drivers. They're out there in the cold, especially here in Vancouver. They're all on scooters. You know, like I've told this, but they're all on scooters all over the place. And look at this, Alex. And I was screwing around with Alex before the show here. I got my energy drink. I haven't opened it yet because look at this. Look at I can screw the green screen, and this is a Canucks Convo. Because of the green screen, it's a Canucks Convo branded energy drink. Look at that. Let's talk to the folks at Ghost. Alex, you can clip this and send it to him, please. Send this to Ghost, and let's get our own flavor of the Canucks Convo energy drink. How cool would that be?
Okay, speaking of sponsors who actually pay us.
I have outsmarted the green screen again.
Okay, like I said, speaking of sponsors who actually sponsored the show, Zephyr Epic, our presenting sponsor of all guests, and Mike McKenna is going to join us. Also, you cut me off. I was in the middle of starting to tell the Mike McKenna story about him getting claimed on waivers as soon as the Canucks traded for him, and that just, that's what started Mikey DiPietro's NHL career, right? Remember this?
Yep.
Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But Mike McKenna is going to join us, and Zephyr Epic is the presenting sponsor of all of our guests, so you can go to Zephyr Epic, ZEPHYR Epic. They've got you covered for all of your trading card needs, as Faber holds up a Nikita Shryamkin card to the camera for those of you on the live show. Hockey season is the promo code you're going to want to use there. Capital H, capital S, all one word, hockey season. That will get you $5 off your order at ZephyrEpic.com. Check them out on all.
I'm selling these Nikita Shryamkin cards. I will pay you $1 to take them.
Check them out on all platforms. It's gonna be a good time with Mike McKenna today. Thanks to our friends over at Zephyr Epic. Okay, he's going to join us in about 10 minutes.
Monday deal over at Zephyr Epic. It's over. It's done. It's December, but this is a good time to get your gifts. You order them now. The shipping's normally pretty quick. Probably get them before Christmas. I can't guarantee that.
Quick.
I can't make any guarantees. Or you head down to the store in Surrey, and you can use our promo code in at the store. Hockey season.
Kick open the door, like you said.
I said you kick. It's a metal door, so I'm not too worried about kicking in their door. So kick in the door at Zephyr Epic and just scream hockey season. They'll give you $5 after you spend $50.
Okay. Please don't actually do that, folks. That would not be good. Okay.
Yeah. Is that hold on?
Oh my gosh, you gotta stop, man. We gotta get to McKenna in 10 minutes.
Satire, I believe, is what it's called. Right?
All right. Yeah, that was satire, Chris. Mm-hmm. Excellent use of the word. Okay. Roberto
Knucklehead
Luongo
says you're looking like a rock star.
I don't care.
And Corey says quads, it's only -1.
It's not. It's colder than that. Okay. Roberto Luongo. The Canucks announced late last night that he's going into the Ring of Honor. Immediately, the backlash is unbelievable on Twitter, especially. Although I gotta tell you, I saw on Facebook. There was a lot of people.
You were in the comments, eh?
The comment section on Facebook were saying he shouldn't be honored at all.
Wow.
And then
the uncles, they don't forget. That's the thing about the uncles.
Well, here's the thing: is the main reason that everybody's using is that, oh, well, he retired, and this caused the Canucks to have that recapture penalty. They didn't put him on LTIR. Satyar Shah of Sportsnet 650 reported this yesterday. The story's up on Canucks Army right now. I was texting with Sat about it last night just to confirm we had all the details right. But the Canucks had an opportunity to reacquire Luongo to put him on LTIR, to reacquire that contract to put him on LTIR. They passed up the opportunity to do it. This was when Jim Benning was still the GM of the team. They passed up the opportunity to do it as an organization, bear in mind, and then they got hit with the recapture penalty. And then, as Lachlan pointed out in the story on Canucks Army, then the recapture penalty was used as an excuse of why they did a bunch of bad moves. Like it was used to defend Braden Holtby's buyout. It was used to defend Yaroslav Halak's extra year or whatever, the thing that they're paying him right now. It was all used to defend that. So again, I don't want to get into that aspect too much, but I honestly, like, after seeing that report, I'm not so sure I buy the whole, and Sat also mentioned that Luongo was kind of, forced a little bit into retiring by the Panthers. I forced is a strong word, and I don't want to say forced, but
probably, I don't want to say guided either, but probably
pressured, but he was
nothing illegal, but just
it was please retire.
I think they were okay with him retiring.
Yeah, I think they were fine with it.
We'll say that.
And Luongo, as somebody who works for them still, I think he was okay with it too.
He's looking good. He was looking happy today at the presser too. It was good.
I know. And here's the thing. And Lachlan's writing this right now for Canucks Army. Lachlan's really pissed about this, by the way.
Yeah, I've seen him on Twitter. He's not happy.
Lachlan is writing this right now, but he makes a really good point that if the Canucks don't retire Luongo's number, they're probably never going to retire another jersey until we have like multiple kids and we're like way older. This isn't going to happen for a long time. There's nobody else that could get their jersey retired. And Eddie Lack tweeted this out yesterday, because I think it was Wyatt that asked him to weigh in. And basically what he said is, yeah, retire Luongo, Ring of Honor for Kessler. It's that simple. You're welcome. That's what Eddie Lack said. And again, like,
I think Eddie's on the sauce again. The sauce and talk. He's a Ring of Fire, ROF.
Oh, whatever. Like, I have trouble disagreeing with that. Like, again, I hear this argument, and I hear people say the only argument that I personally am willing to listen to, I'll listen to all of them, but the only one that I really am like, okay, I see where this person's coming from, is when people say, look, if you haven't won anything, you can't just keep retiring jerseys. Like, you can't fill your rafters with a bunch of jerseys of players who haven't won anything. I get that.
Yeah, but you can't go 50 years without having some players that played good enough to have their number up there.
And
so that's the other end of the argument.
And when you look at who's up there, right? Like, nobody wants to be mean to Stan Smeel. And I totally get that. Stan Smeel's got
practice today.
He's got the heart of a Canuck, okay? To me, and I understand he was the first one that got his jersey retired. I'm not trying to disrespect Stan Smeel at all. Stan Smeel is a nice guy. Even though you had that thing against him.
Oh, I'm not bringing that back up.
No, we're not. But like, when you look at the terms of what the Ring of Honor is and what jersey retirement constitutes, or what constitutes jersey retirement, excuse me, you kind of look at it and you say, okay, like, yeah, Stan Smeel should probably be in the Ring of Honor. No problems that his jersey's retired, but I'm just saying, like, you have this precedent, and I'm not saying that everybody who, is a heart and soul Canuck should have their jersey retired. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm trying to say, I don't personally have a problem with Stan Smeel's jersey being retired. And I think anybody who does, I think you need to check your priorities personally. But the point here is that the precedent you're setting by putting Luongo, the best goalie in franchise history, at the same level, exact same level, as Kirk McLean, who I understand had that playoff run, and a lot of people are very nostalgic of him. Career numbers aren't great. Numbers with the Canucks aren't that great. He had a really good run in the playoffs. Luongo is the best goaltender in franchise history. And I didn't really care about this that much until I really started to weigh everything that was being involved here. And I think all we're setting ourselves up for, to be quite honest with you, Chris, is to look back in 10 years and 15 years, I don't know how many years, to look back and say, wow, that was really weird when the organization didn't retire Luongo's jersey and put him in the Ring of Honor instead. Because you're going to look up there. We're going to look up there for 15 years when we hear about injuries and whatever we're going to be hearing about in 15 years. We're going to look up and say, it is mind-boggling that Roberto Luongo's number one isn't up there with some of the best Canucks of all time. Like he's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer.
And he said it again today. He said it a lot in the past. So you mentioned it, first ballot Hall of Famer. He has said it throughout this whole time with the Hall of Fame and here in Vancouver. He said it today. His best hockey was played here in Vancouver. The best moments were in Vancouver, whether it be at the Olympics in 2010 or whether it be his time as a Vancouver Canuck and the good teams that they had. He says it often, which is interesting because he's a Florida Panthers employee. Yep. He's very comfortable saying like his best times, his best play was with Vancouver, whether it be, and you know what, like that's the other thing. Like I know it doesn't really get included into like retiring his number, but the dude won a gold medal here as well. Like that's got to be a boost just to what people, how they view him. And I think that's why you're seeing this Canucks community be so in favor of his number being retired. I'm not super passionate about this. I don't really care that much. But I also think like if I was in Lou's shoes, which there's a rhyme. If I was in his situation, I wouldn't feel like super great about just going into the Ring of Honor. Like that wouldn't push the needle for me at all. Like that wouldn't be like, oh great, hey, like call my wife, hey, yeah, like I'm going into the Ring of Honor for the Canucks. Like to me, it would take his jersey being retired to even push the needle a little bit.
Okay, now let me get to this comment because in the live chat, True Sight jumped in here and said legends are made or broken in championship games, and Lou rattled his team, letting in 17 goals in Boston. One win in Boston equals jersey retirement. No debate. Why is Marcus Naslund have his jersey retired? This argument doesn't hold water. Like Luongo got that team to the playoffs, right? Like Luongo was, and he is the best goalie in franchise history. This team could not, and I understand the 2011 team, very different than the teams Marcus Naslund was on. Those teams couldn't do anything in the playoffs because they didn't have a goaltender. You have this goalie graveyard for years, this market, right? This team is known as a goalie graveyard. You get this guy who comes in, gives his heart and soul to your team after you go out and acquire him, right? Gives you some of the best seasons of any goaltender ever. Enough to get him into the Hall of Fame as a first ballot Hall of Famer. And I understand
would have been hard for him to do that without the time in Vancouver.
I understand that playoff success, you know, it matters, right? I totally get it matters. And again, this isn't an argument to say Marcus Naslund shouldn't have his jersey retired. I'm just saying people are really liking to move the goalposts on Roberto Luongo. And what I'm saying is that the manner in which the goalposts are being moved right now by the organization and by some of the fans right now is going to lead to us just looking back. I'm just saying we're going to look back and say they really messed that up. And there was that moment of hope last night, right? When the organization, now it wasn't an organization decision, obviously, but you know, it looks like after all the backlash, they deleted the first tweet saying Luongo was in the Ring of Honor, reposted the same one. Backlash didn't stop. There was a lot of negative replies in the replies there. Now, again, we don't know for sure if that was done by accident or if that was a calculated decision by the social media team or whatever. We're not going to get into that. But, you know, there was that moment where everybody's like, wait, did they see all the backlash and decide to retire the jersey instead? No, doesn't appear to be the case. And again, like the other thing, didn't really seem like there was a lot of, like they didn't really consult Luongo or have a conversation with him about it, right? And
it was just a call to let you know.
It was a call from Jim Rutherford to let him know yesterday. This happened the day that it got announced, right? Like Luongo said today when you chatted with him, that this kind of happened very fast. This happened yesterday, and he was excited when he got the call. And you know, he was asked about the difference between a jersey retirement and Ring of Honor. He said, "You know what? That's not my call to make. It's an honor to be in the Ring of Honor." And he just kind of left it at that. And obviously, he's not going to publicly say like, "Yeah, I should probably have my jersey retired." But you know what? Like, I give some credit to Luongo for even accepting the Ring of Honor. placement into the Ring of Honor, because, you know, I was talking to some people behind the scenes who basically said, like, yeah, you know, if they ask him to go in the Ring of Honor, I wouldn't be surprised if he just basically told them where they could stick it.
Yeah, because I look at the Ring of Honor like a little different. Like jersey retire, I think is for a player like Luongo, who was that good for your team at the time for a decent amount of time as well. Like the Ring of Honor to me is more of the player that you loved in the community, the player that had one or two big moments, but was also around for a long time. Like Alex Burrows is a Ring of Honor guy to me, right? Like his jersey wouldn't be retired. He wasn't that. He was a good player, but he wasn't at that level to talk about jersey retirement. He's a fan favorite. He's the type of guy you want to see in the Ring of Honor. Like, you know, Kevin BX, a Ring of Honor. Just even like Matthias Olin, Ring of Honor. Like these type of players that were very well liked for fan bases by a long time. Where's Alex Edler going? Like Alex Edler isn't going to have his jersey retired, right? He was here for a long time. He was here on the 2011 run. Like, I don't know where you said it, because like he also spent more time than Luongo did. He has a lot of records still with his team for defense.
They retire Alex Edler and they don't retire Roberto Luongo.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
and that all goes back to what I'm saying about how people are going to look back at this and just say this is a mistake. Like, this is weird that the organization didn't retire jersey. Okay, we're going to get to Mike McKenna.
There's enough people, though. Yeah, let's get Mike in on this, too. There's enough people, like we're seeing online. We are seeing a lot of people not liking the situation with the Ring of Honor. But you're right. Like, and we've seen a couple in the chat already. Some people are very okay with him not having his jersey retired. Yep. So that's what makes it interesting for me. And that's why I don't think that there's like a middle ground of putting yourself in the Ring of Honor. I don't look at the Ring of Honor the same way as like a lower version of having your jersey retired. I think it's a completely different spot to have respect from an organization to go into what the Ring of Honor is.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll get Mike McKenna's thoughts on this. Daily Faceoffs. Mike McKenna joins us now. Mike, how are you today?
I'm hanging in there, man. I got sunlight, but it's pretty cold in St. Louis. It feels like I'm in Canada right now, which is appropriate considering my daughter's going to be on the ice in a couple hours. So just feels like another hockey day here. How about you guys?
Doing pretty good. I mean, it's a big night tonight. They're going to be honoring the Sedins, honoring Luongo. He was in town today. We chatted with him a little bit. Mike, I guess we'll just start there with Luongo, because Quads is fired up today. As you can see, he's burning with heat. I don't think it's cold. Just the hat. But we're going to see Luongo be honored tonight. We have also heard that he's going into the Ring of Honor. What do you remember from Roberto Luongo as a Vancouver Canuck?
Just that run to the Stanley Cup Finals more than anything else. I mean, he obviously had some really consistent play over that time frame. But I remember it more than anything because, you know, I was in the building for when the Vancouver Canucks played against the St. Louis Blues during that year and in the playoffs, and thought, man, I'm really getting to see something special here with Luongo. And then I can remember even when I went through the Western Swing for the first time with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and this was 2009, and just getting to watch Luongo practice. And this was somebody that I'd really looked up to for a long time in the NHL. I thought he was on the edge of the technical curve. I loved his style. I just really admired him. And I remember watching that practice with him and I think Ian Clark on the ice with him and thinking, wow, this is pretty detailed here. I wish I had this. And and lo and behold, I ended up getting to work with Ian Clark later on in my career and ended up being Roberto's teammate briefly in Florida, which was pretty amazing. But yeah, I think he'll always be remembered for that run, but I think he'll also always be remembered for taking the walk on the not the levee. I mean, I'm in the middle of America here. I'm thinking of levees because of rivers, but he took a walk on like the water side or whatever before a playoff game, and then how everything went south with Tortorella and Eddie Lack and everything. It just got so weird there at the end that I feel like it left kind of a sour taste in everybody's mouth, and how it finished with Luongo in Vancouver.
Okay, so that sour taste, people have been talking about it. People have been bringing it up a lot because this is a raging debate right now, Mike. Where do you lie on they're putting him in the Ring of Honor. Where do you lie on this debate? Does Luongo deserve to have his jersey retired by the Vancouver Canucks?
I don't think so. And I'm tough about retired numbers. You're going to run out of numbers eventually. You know, like if you're going to retire somebody's number, to me, they need to be in a city for a decade plus, pretty much their whole career, win some hardware. You got to be pretty special to pull that off. And I'm not saying Luongo wasn't special. What he did with the Canucks it's pretty unbelievable when you look at the numbers and where the team went. But does he reach, Kirk McLean status, cult hero status? I'm not sure. I have a hard time for retiring numbers. And the whole Ring of Honor thing is kind of foreign to me because I don't have experience with franchises that have that. I think from even listening to you guys before I came on with you, I think it's a cool way to be able to acknowledge greats of a franchise without taking it the step further and saying, hey, this number's never going to be worn again. So from the outside looking in, not being a Vancouver Canuck fan, this is who it really matters for. It's what they think, if anything, less the franchise. It seems appropriate that he's in a Ring of Honor as opposed to a retired number. But I'm sure that that's a debate that could go endlessly, considering, again, just how proficient he was in net for a long period of time.
Yeah, it's rare to see Vancouver fans voice their opinions on Twitter, but we're seeing a lot of it right now, and that's a joke, by the way. I gotta switch things up a little bit because Quads loves goalies. You are a goalie. I'm anti-goalie, so I got to talk about Tage Thompson with you a little bit. One of my favorite players to watch, and I know you wrote about the same thing with him. Just talk me through what you're seeing with him in today's game, because to me, like, the combination of size, speed, skill. I know that, like, the contract kind of shocked everyone when it happened, but now you're starting to see this guy sort of cement himself. Like, what are you seeing from Tage Thompson that you don't see in any other player around this league?
You can't deny that he potted 38 goals last year, and he's on a pace now to maybe get to 50. You can't deny that. That's what's happening. And I think, if anything, what we've seen so far this year is that last year wasn't a fluke, and there's reasons why this has happened now. And talking with Marty Biron last week a little bit, who does, longtime NHL goaltender who's now turned analyst in the Buffalo area, works for the Sabres games. He said, Don Granato, the head coach of the Canucks, really made a smart decision to put Tage Thompson at center. He'd been a wing previously. And when I played against Tage, it was 2017-18 in the American League. And Tage was more or less a one-time threat on the power play. He looked kind of disinterested. He was easy to knock off the puck. Our team knew it. Our team wanted matchups against him because, frankly, he looked like somebody that thought he was too good for the American League. And this was the impression. I could be totally off base, but what you see on the ice is the opposing team is generally what scouts and other people up in the top of the building see as well. And so I think he had a real maturation process to what he's done to come where he is now, but going to center freed him up. It gave him more space to roam and work with. And a guy that's 6'6" and has the reach that he does, those hands work well in a bigger format and setting. So that's number one. He's got great chemistry with his line mates. Jeff Skinner and Alex Tuch have been really good alongside him. Chemistry with Skinner, a really powerful skater in Tuch that can keep up with what Thompson does with the puck on his stick as well. But more than anything, his hands are just incredible. Like, for a big man, we haven't seen hands like this. I don't want to make insane comparables here, okay? But like, you're starting to reach into like Lemieux territory of somebody that big that can dangle with a puck, okay? And I'm not saying he's Mario Lemieux. There's been a few of those. But that's kind of what you're looking at. He can stick handle through things and do it with a power that wasn't there when he was 20 years old. Now at 25, it is. And that contract is actually starting to look pretty good for Kevin Adams, the GM of the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Todd Bertuzzi brought it up when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, just how much he loves watching the evolution of a power forward and seeing what's happening. I think of Skinner, just like how much ice Skinner must be getting with those two big bodies playing on his line there. He must just love the spot that he's in right now with Buffalo, and at least the line that he's playing with. And we can get back to goalie talk now. I know Quads is itching for it. We got to ask you about your thoughts on the situation here in Vancouver. I mean, we've seen Spencer Martin and Thatcher Demko, I think, post pretty similar numbers when you're talking about save percentage and the simple stats for goalies. Goals saved above average, we're seeing a little bit of a difference there. Spencer Martin's played a little bit better when you start to look at some of those, and his record kind of shows it as well. Spencer Martin has won quite a few more games here than Thatcher Demko this season, but that was one of the things Canucks fans were kind of locking in as not having a question mark going into this season. And, that's how things happen in Vancouver. You think something's a lock. It hasn't happened so far this season. What are your thoughts on what you're seeing from the outside looking in here with Thatcher Demko and what's going on early on this year?
Well, to me, Thatcher really had no choice but to carry the mail early in the season. Spencer Martin didn't have a big track record at the NHL level. Demko had earned the right to play a lot of games. And you just look at how putrid that Vancouver team was in front of him, especially early. And, you kept hearing it from Jim Rutherford, who I keep wanting to call him the GM because he's the only mouthpiece of the team. And I wonder if Patrick Alvin is just a hologram. I don't know if he exists, but you continually hear Rutherford say, we shouldn't be doing this with the goalie we have. We should be good, blah, blah, blah. Well, Demko couldn't make up for the fact that Vancouver had 1.5 quality defensemen at the start of the year and a bunch of 5-6s that play to fill out the rest of that group. And it's not just that, it's also the system. Like, it's just been massively loose in front of him. And I think if anything with Demko, you could see it finally started to wear on him. There were some goals that surprised me a little bit, but when I went back through everything, he wasn't getting beat clean by shots. He was tracking the puck pretty well. If anything, I thought he was sitting a little bit low in his stance. And I thought that maybe he was a little bit aggressive at times with his depth on some rush chances. And I thought you overutilized RVH occasionally, and he'd get stuck in that save selection or post integration would kind of prevent him from arriving on time occasionally. And that's kind of symptomatic of things that you've seen with some goalies that use Clark's system. They can over rely on RVH in situations where I would prefer not to be in it, when the puck's in the corner or along the half wall. But largely, I think, when it comes to that comparison, Vancouver scored more goals in front of Martin. They've played a little better. Okay. It's just kind of how it's been. And I think Spencer's had a couple of really big games that have probably buoyed his numbers. So basically, long story short, I think Demko hasn't been great, but I think he's really had a tough sled in front of him with that club. And I think by the end of the season, you'd expect Demko to be better as this team hopefully improves as well. Numbers-wise, statistically speaking, you just hope that his confidence can stay at a level that's decent, because, man, when you're watching pucks fly by you that many times at the start of the year, it can wear on you and turn into a bad season real quick.
Mike, you brought up post-integration, RVH, music to my ears. Faber's seething over here because I talk about that stuff and he gets super upset about it. But you brought up confidence there, and I find that really interesting with Thatcher Demko. My question for you is just how much of what Demko is going through right now is between the ears rather than what it is on the ice?
I really don't think it's a whole lot with him. He's a pretty strong goalie, I think. It's just there have been, if you look at his body language compared to other goalies in the league that have struggled, I think his body language has been pretty good. Okay, like if you look at Jack Campbell, it looks like he's been stabbed in the chest 8 times every time a puck goes in.
Yeah.
And if you look at Cal Peterson, how goals have gone in on Cal Peterson, who was just waived on Wednesday and subsequently cleared waivers today, it looked like Cal Peterson wanted to cry after every goal against. Like you could see it on his face, and Demko to me has managed to stay pretty even keel. Like obviously there's disappointment involved and you can see it occasionally. But I think outwardly he's been pretty good with it. It's just occasionally the chances and the goals against that go in where, I can remember one shot from the point that just somehow got under his pad. And it was kind of like, what is going on here is what I think Demko was thinking, right? It's like, for him, I think it's more about how do I think my way out of what's going on as opposed to, oh, it was me. I'm not doing this right. What's wrong? I just think for Demko, it's kind of, come on, man, let's get this together. Like you can outthink this. We can figure out a better way. I do think he's a pretty mentally strong goaltender. And yeah, I mean, I think he's, maybe you guys object. I think he's been, shown pretty decently lately. I mean, of course, there's going to be a couple blow-up games here and there, but it's starting to turn a little bit more in the right direction.
It was interesting actually today with Roberto Luongo, and he joked about like once he discovered Twitter and was able to like have some fun, not take himself so serious. I wonder if there's not the same moment. I don't want to see Demko start making jokes on Twitter full time. Like, I mean, maybe it'd be fun.
I would.
It'd be cool.
I'd love to see that.
Something like that would be great. But I mean, with him, like he's still, I know that goalies come into the NHL a little bit older than some of these 18-year-olds out of the draft, but I wonder, do you think there might be a point where that something clicks with him to kind of just change his mindset a little bit? Because I do think that though he's a mentally strong goalie when things are going strong and the season's just like a long grind, I do feel like when there's the down moments, it might be hurting his play from the way that he's kind of reacting to being scored on or just not things going his way, it feels like.
Well, you have to find fun and you have to find joy in what you're doing. And, for Luongo, I think that was a release for him to be able to have a social media outlet, even an unconfirmed one that wasn't him, but it was him for so long. It was the biggest inside joke in hockey, it felt like. And for me, I utilized it the same way. I had way more positive interactions through social than I did negative. Even when I was getting lit up for different teams, it wasn't that bad. And I didn't have expectations on me. Everybody thought I was just a call up anyway. That was a warm body, which actually was true. But I do wonder, like even when Thatcher, I remember when he got called up, and I subsequently got sent down. You remember that from 4 years ago when we made that flip flop. We saw each other at the hotel in Toronto, took a picture together, we put it out. I was happy for him, and I'm still happy for him. But he hasn't used social media since then, really. As far as I believe Twitter is just gone for him. And I see this with players that I always wonder when that goes away. If there's something more to it, right? If they don't want to do it, if they don't want to deal with it, if it wasn't fun for them. And that's hard to say. Maybe he just decided, hey, I'm just focusing here. I don't want to deal with it. But it's one of those things that the more you can talk to somebody, if you could talk to them one-on-one in a locker room, you can get a feel for what they do when they get away from the rink to really find some joy in life. And it's just easier with some goalies to gauge that when you find out, oh, this is a person that has other outside interests. Oh, they can make fun of themselves and other things. So I think as long as Thatcher can find something off the ice to keep them mentally occupied, satisfied, it goes a long way to how you perform on the ice.
Yeah, it just, you know what, like I'm in the locker room every game, every practice, just feels like there's something a little sour that's not allowing that to happen right now with the Canucks. That's kind of what it feels like with, even talking to Pettersson, talking to Demko, like when they're down, there's not something that's going to kind of get them out of it right now. So it's a difficult spot.
That'll happen when you lose that many games in the third period.
It's very true. Yeah, maybe I do know why it's happening. Well, hey, Mike, we appreciate you taking the time today. And I'm actually glad because today is December 1st. We've already hit our monthly quota for goalie guests, so I don't have to talk goalies the rest of the month.
I'm glad I could help.
Mike, appreciate it, man. Keep up the great work over there at DFO.
You got it. Anytime. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
You betcha. There he is, Mike McKenna joining us there. So
great guest.
Good insight.
Great guest.
Into goaltenders, as well as I had to sneak my Tage Thompson question there. I wasn't doing a full 15 on goal. We've done 31 minutes of goalie talk on the show.
It's my dream. The fact that Mike had that answer about Tage Thompson being a one-time threat at the AHL level, like remembering playing against him, couldn't have asked for a better answer, I don't think. So again, our thanks to Mike McKenna. All of our guests are brought to you by Zephyr Epic. Free shipping on any order over $50 Canada-wide. Go pick yourself up some, hopefully you make better decisions than my co-host over here who picks up Nikita Triamkin cards whenever he can. How's Triamkin doing, by the way, in the KHL?
Honestly, I haven't even heard. I haven't even looked at it.
Okay, well, you start talking about Abbotsford. I'll find Nikita Triamkin stats.
All right. What are we getting to here? Abbotsford? We don't want anything. You don't want to wrap up anything from McKenna? You're okay?
No, I mean, I disagree with them, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
About Luongo going to the jersey retirement thing. But again, like McKenna made a good point that, and it's kind of what I said earlier about, you can't just keep retiring guys' jerseys if they haven't won anything for the organization. But again, it's just, I don't know. Like, honestly, I don't know what to say. All I'm going to say now is just that I think when we look back at this, I don't know how long it's going to be. Hopefully we're still around doing this. We'll see. When we look back, I think we're going to just look at this as a failure by the organization and just a interesting is a nice way of putting it. Decision. Nikita Triamkin, just want to get this quick. 34 games played this season in the KHL, 2 goals, 7 assists. And he's a plus 13. Last season, 45 games, 2 goals, 7 assists. So he's already matched his point totals, his point outputs from last season in the KHL.
Don't call it a comeback. Quads, flip your light back on. I want to do something for the YouTube folk real quick.
Sure.
Alex, look at this. I've found what I think Quads looks like. You can flip me. You can bring both the cameras up here. No, not just me. Look at this. This is what it is. It's the Like a G6 music video.
Yeah, I know that song.
I don't know if I can play the video. I don't think I can on YouTube, but I'm just going to let it run through here. That's what your sunglasses look like because they got the ring light on the whole time. You're from that's a great song too, by the way. I used to, back in my 650 days.
What was your
that was one of the songs I used to come back.
What was your anthem in like grade 7? Like, and not you specifically. 7. I'm talking about what was played at the school dances and stuff. Because for me, it was Thrift Shop by Macklemore. That was the big song at the time. And I know I'm going to make a lot of people feel old by saying that was the song of the year when I was in grade 7.
Yeah, that does make me feel old. But my song of grade 7 was Grills by Nelly and Paul Wall. That was a good song. You probably never even heard it.
Never heard it.
No. What else was big? No, I was into the hip hop back in the day. I used to wear a flat brim hat all the time.
Oh yeah, I've seen the flat brim hat.
Some different ones.
I've seen the flat brim hat. Okay,
a lot of basketball jerseys too. I used to have a lot.
Abbotsford sweep. Let's get to it.
Okay. Yeah. So the Abbotsford Canucks their first sweep of the season at home. They won last night. They won the night before. A couple of big wins against the Bakersfield Condors, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last year, and got a chance to chat with Danila Klimovich last night. I was happy to see that he came out and wanted to do some media. The request was put in. PR asked him. He was comfortable doing it. So shout out to him for that. I think that's great for him to, I love that a player will want to just come out and do it.
He was probably told, he's like, hey, there's no other media here. It's just the guy you like talking to.
Yeah, it's just that guy and that you've talked to a bunch of times and the Abbotsford guys. That was just it. But he came out and talked and I think I like the fact that he's trying. It was tough for him to do, and it takes him a few seconds to kind of get a sentence together, but he's learning and he's much better than he was last year. So some interesting quotes. I'll read off a couple. So he put up a goal 2 days ago, put up an assist last night. And he talked about confidence a little bit after putting up, back-to-back games with points. He said, I've got more confidence right now, but I need to improve and need to be more focused on every shift. Then I'll be in good shape. Asked him about a couple other things, like if those are the best games that he's played. Klimovich said, yeah, I think it's my best games because I was focusing in playing, and I'm playing better than I was at the start of the season. And also just talked about learning from the coaches, what they understanding what they're saying to him as well. And then I asked, so yeah, like all this cool talk about Klimovich, he also only had one shift in the entire third period. And I found it interesting because I was looking at the bench and I was like, is he still on the bench? Like, is he still there? And just as I'm looking on the bench, I see Jeremy Colliton, who's the head coach, go up to Klimovich, puts both hands on his shoulders and says something into his ear for about 10 seconds or something. And then that was his shift. He went out there and did that. So I asked Colliton about that, and he just said he needs to get back to what he was doing yesterday. He had a really good start. His first game of this 2-game set was excellent. I think it was the best game Klimovich has played in his AHL career. Scored a goal in it, but just looked engaged. But then he made a huge mistake in the second period where he just was not getting back quick enough, and it ends up letting up a Condors goal at the time. So there's still a lot of work, but I think there was definitely some positive progression over the past 2 games here from Klimovich, which is great to see. I want to bring up Christian Wolanin as well, because so I watch Riley Stillman handle the puck a lot, whether it be at Canucks practice or in NHL games. I also watch Christian Wolanin handle the puck a lot in the AHL, and Christian Wolanin looks like he should be able to handle the puck at the NHL level. As a third pairing guy or a 7th defenseman, he looks excellent right now at the AHL. I think he's deserving of a shot to potentially down the road be someone who Vancouver might want to give a shot if they're not really wanting to run with Kyle Burrows long term, or if you see an injury to an OEL or a Myers and one of those two needs to move up into the other guy's spot. Wolanin, I think, should get some NHL games at this point this season. Right now, I asked him about it last night, what's he working on? What does he need to do to get to the NHL level? He's not focused on that at all. He called it the business of the game. And he doesn't worry about the business of the game. He's just worrying about winning games with Abbotsford right now. Big team mentality guy. But he set the point streak record last night for the AHL Abbotsford Canucks.
10 points.
10 games in a row. He's gotten a point. He's got 16 points in those 10 games.
Sorry, it was 10 games. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's more than a point per game player in the AHL right now through 18 games. A lot of the things he does offensively remind me of what Jack Rathbone was doing last year in the AHL. But I found it interesting because Wolanin, as much as you try and tell me that Rathbone's killing penalties, he wasn't killing penalties last year. But Wolanin is the first defenseman out there killing penalties for Abbotsford as well.
He was doing it for here in preseason too.
And I asked him, I was like, what's your confidence level in your own game? And he had a tough stretch as well, battling through the COVID. What was those extra players called? The Black Aces, kind of, but they had it the whole season.
Yeah,
it was a
the
different
taxi
squad. Thank you. So he was a taxi squad guy, right? Didn't play for a long time, then had a shoulder injury. And that kept him out of the lineup. So he just said, coming out, wanting to try this new organization, the chance that they gave him in preseason to play in those games and big situations in his final preseason game, he felt really good. He feels really good about where his game's at right now. And like he said, he doesn't want to comment on the business. So his call-ups and assignments to the AHL aren't something that he wanted to worry about. But I tell you, this guy, he's got the physical traits. He can move the puck very well. We saw him in that preseason game. Everybody fell in love with him. That's why we got the Super Wolanin logo there that I just saw up a second ago. There he is.
He saw the traffic and the snow on Highway 1 and decided he didn't want to get called up.
You know what? You see this many, Riley Stillman struggle tonight, and you see Burrows not
just guessing that.
Well, no, I'm saying if you do, right? Which we've seen a few times this year. If an injury happens, I look at that defense group down there and I think we've seen Noah Juleson be called up a couple times. We've seen Rathbone be up here for a while. Let's see what Wolanin looks like, right? This is a guy you signed to the AHL, and you hope that he can maybe be some depth. And maybe he can be a guy that you can use at the NHL level as a 7th, 8th guy. I just think he's been so good at the AHL. Like, you watch him last night, he's in control of the play all game long, right? Like, he's just a strong, an extremely strong AHL player. And I want to bring up one of the goals today. I'm going to show it on YouTube here. So the people on YouTube can watch it. Like, the plays that he's making, like this is to me like a very high quality play that he's making at the point here on the power play where he skates around and like he controls the puck at the top. He skates completely, like dangles that guy, breaks his ankles, gets a really good shot on net. And then Will Lockwood ends up finishing. Like, these are really good puck handling traits that he's showing at the AHL level here, and just smarts to find better shooting lanes, find better passing lanes. I really like what Wolanin's doing right now. And I mean, like, I would like to see him at some point get a shot at the NHL after that preseason game early in the year and what he's done so far in the AHL. Absolutely deserving of it at this point, especially what you're seeing with the other guys, and not necessarily Kyle Burrows, but Riley Stillman getting the lineup so much.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that take. Absolutely. And again, we were talking about at the start of the year too, about him being a guy that could maybe stick around out of training camp. We didn't see it, but what they've got right now is spectacular, right? Like, Kyle Burrows included.
Yeah,
like,
and quiet night for Podkolzin last night. He wasn't great. He had one nice little drive to the net, but just not a lot of great stuff from Podkolzin yesterday. He had a way better first game than he did last night. And Jack Rathbone was sick yesterday. That's why he wasn't in the lineup. And Chase Waters, their captain, he's got an eye injury. He got banged up in that fight. So we'll see what happens there. It might be long term. It might be short term. I'm not exactly 100% sure what's going on.
Great reporting. It's an injury. It might be short or long term.
That's what I heard. I asked about it. They don't know yet either.
Yeah. Okay.
You want to get to prospects here?
Oh yeah, sure. I was hoping you'd get to Betway, but
no. Prospects report. I got some quick stuff here. It's not much longer, but I do have another clip. Pull it up, Alex. There I am. This is Danila Klimovich's secondary assist in the game today. Yesterday. He had a nice little setup here to Arshdeep Bains. And then Archie Baines makes an incredible pass here. So Klimovich gets the puck. Nice to see. Fires on net. Baines gets it. Nice backhand. No look pass to Wolanin for the finish. Boom. All the players we just talked about there. Baines is, you know what? Like, this is a very smart player. This Archdeep Baines kid, he is smart. He moves well, finds open space on the ice. You know, he's kind of in a bottom 6 role right now with this Canucks team, but I really like the way that he's progressing so far in the AHL. He's kind of been one of the most impressive stories coming out of the AHL this season right now, Archdeep Baines. And on top of that, another prospect update with Elias Pettersson. D. Petey, my guy, D. Petey, played a season high again. I just talked about it on, I think it was Monday or Tuesday. Tuesday, I think I was talking about. He played a season high. He beat that season high today. He played a season high 15 minutes and 3 seconds in a 5-1 loss in the SHL. So 15 minutes of ice time for Petey, D. Petey in the SHL. As an 18-year-old, you like it. You like what you see there.
You like what you see from DPD. Okay, let's get to the Betway wrap up here.
All right, Betway. Pull it up, Alex. I got Canucks game tonight. Obviously, they're facing off against the Panthers. We haven't had a good week. We haven't hit anything. We're going to make up for all of it tonight, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. Betway. JT Miller, anytime goal scorer in this one. You get him at plus 175 over on Betway right now. Plus 175 for JT Miller to score at any point in this game. And then our other one, the big one, you know I love these ones. The over 6.5 total goals it's just, I don't know, feels like a lock with the Canucks all the time. Do I think the Canucks are a lock to win? No, but I like it at plus 600 because if they win, I think you're getting a goal from Petey, especially coming off of that -5 quads. Like he's you know, Petey's going to be fired up for today's game. And over 6.5 total goals, I just think that's going to happen. That happens in a lot of Canucks games. So you get that at plus 600 on Betway.
19 plus to play.
Yeah, you know it. All right, photo from a listener. Alex,
see it.
Alex, can you pull it up? Choco Ball sent this in. So we say our worldwide listeners, right? We always talk about the worldwide listeners. You know this.
Get us your photos.
This is from Choco Ball in Beijing, China. Okay.
Whoa.
Across the globe. This is the view from his office at Peking University of the Boya Pagoda. So nice little view. Choco says he listens to every episode at the gym or when walking the dog, which is a great spot to be listening to podcasts. You walk the dog, right? That's one of the best spots to get your podcast listening. I was talking to my pal Brad out there at Abbotsford Center. He listens all the time too.
Nice.
He says he's going 2 walks a day. He's going.
Attaboy, Brad.
Yeah, you go out, you get the walks in. I'm not a big walking guy. I do it on the treadmill at the gym.
You're no Thomas Drance.
No, Trans telling me he does 20,000 steps a day.
That's good.
I doubt it. I doubt he does 20,000 steps a day.
We want to see the pedometer.
Yeah, well, I don't trust that one bit. He told me he does 20,000 minimum every day.
Good for him. I can see it. He's got a dog. He lives downtown. He walks everywhere.
I don't know.
He walks to the rink twice a day.
Have you ever done 20,000 steps in a day? I've never done. Even on like days where I've gone on long walks.
Okay, yeah, maybe
I've topped out at like,
lot.
You know what? We had a big walking day when we went to Edmonton last time. Remember that was I had about 16,000 that day. That was a lot of walking through Edmonton and YVR. So that was a lot of walking that day. But I don't know about 20,000. Well, look at this view though of in Beijing. Like it's gorgeous.
Yeah, podcast.
Look at the colors.
Love the view.
On YouTube here, people are seeing it. It's a beautiful view. So send in your photos. DM me on Twitter. We'll bring them up here on the YouTube.
Yeah. Okay. We'll wrap it up
there. Thank you to Choco Ball for listening every day. So listen to every episode at the gym. Are you a podcast at the gym guy? I'm if I'm on the treadmill, I will, but otherwise I need my music.
Yeah, I got my music.
I've been listening to Taylor Swift. Enchanted is the song I've been listening to on the gym. Fires me right up.
We're missing our heart.
And this other song from FIFA I've been listening to a lot. So I know you want to get out here. You're off your long weekend. Harmon will be in here tomorrow.
That's right.
So what do you got planned tomorrow?
Work. I still work while I'm gone. I just have other stuff to do.
Don't believe it.
Okay. Anyway, we'll close it out there. For my co-host, Chris Faber, and our technical producer, Alex Allard, my name is Dave Quadrelli. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Canucks Conversation.
DJ Quads, look at that. Rapper fit.
Thanks for listening to Canucks Conversation, delivered by DoorDash. Hit the subscribe button to never miss an episode.
How about keep it to a thank you, Jim?